Hi everybody, it's Dr. Jensen from CCJ3701 Research Methods in Criminology. I apologize for the weird elevator music behind me. I'm actually on the road and wasn't able to find proper space, so this will have to do, but hopefully you can hear me okay and enjoy the weird sounds behind me. Anyway, we're going to take you through the final part of lab number 5 and help you with this part. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and kind of show you the process, but this is the time in the class, again, when you start kind of veering away and working through some things on your own. So again, you'll want to do this lab with a partner or classmate, compare answers, and if you get stuck on anything, talk with each other. Let me know. I'm happy to walk you through stuff on the phone. I'll even point out some stuff that people do as a mistake that happens a lot, so you can avoid those pitfalls. So as you remember from the last video, we had built lesbians and gays as separate variables by using information from the other part of the survey that asked about how many men and how many women they were sleeping with and their gender. So we're actually going to use those variables again and do another conditional recode. So again, this came from a student who wanted to study homosexual parenthood and things that happen to their children. And we're going to create a lesbian mother and a gay father variable. So we kind of did a recode on top of a recode to finally get the variable we wanted. So we need to look at this variable. This is a new one we're going to pull up. It's H4KK15A. Go ahead and highlight that in your lab and kind of copy it. We're going to use that later for a moment. But remember, you never recode what you don't know. So let's take a look at this variable. Again, you can put your cursor in the variable name field and do a Control F or a find function. You can paste in that H4KK15A and hit find next, and it will take you to row 5884. That's the variable you want. Okay, so this one says happy enroll as parent. It says are happy enroll as parent. Are actually refers to respondent. Is the respondent happy in their role as a parent? Let's look at the value labels and see what we have here. So it looks like it's an ordinal question. Again, the way I know it's ordinal is because it has the famous Likert or Likert scale from strongly agree to disagree and so forth. And then it has some missing data, refuse, legitimate, skip, don't know. But yeah, this is ordinal, so I can kind of rank order how much agreement they have based on their responses. But we're going to use this variable for some cool stuff. Let's run a frequency on it. Again, you can highlight the variable name and right-click and ask for descriptive statistics. And it will generate that frequency for us so we can see it. Okay. Now this is something we're going to do that's a little creative. You go, well, what does this have to do with them being a parent? Well, how does this even work? A lot of times you just need information about a person rather than what the survey question's asking. So we're going to use this variable in a clever way where basically in the survey, if you go look at the code book, if the person selected that took the survey legitimate skip, that means they could not answer this question because it really doesn't apply to them. We call it a legitimate skip because they gave us information earlier in the survey that excluded them from getting it. So that person is not a parent, so they can't answer questions about being happy in their role when they aren't a parent to begin with. So we're actually going to use that legitimate skip category specifically for that. So, and we're going to use the 1 through 5 responses of strongly agree all the way to strongly disagree for something as well. So we're going to be kind of clever here and use this variable and recode it. And we're going to actually condition on our lesbian and gay variable that you just made. So you can't do this part of the lab until you've correctly created the lesbian and gay variable. Okay, so that's where you want to check and make sure that you get the correct number of people and so forth. Okay, so let's do the traditional way of recoding again. So you can go to the transform menu, recode into different variables. Again, in the last video, you can certainly do this with syntax where you just type in the script. But we'll do it the old-fashioned way just for people that are still getting the hang of syntax. So if you quickly type in H4KK, you have to kind of type it fast in a quick little sequence, H4KK. It'll take you to that section of the survey, and you'll see the H4KK15A question. Pop it in your queue. We're going to actually make our lesbian mother variable first. So let's call this one lesbian mom. And we can just, again, use a similar label. old and new values. Okay, here, this is where we're going to be clever. Select range, and I don't care if you strongly agree with how you feel as a parent in your role or if you strongly disagree. I just want to know if you answered the question. So I don't care how you feel about being a parent. I just want to know if you are one. So we can put any of those responses, 1 through 5, as a value of 1. And click Add. Now I did a recode earlier, so I got to get rid of some of this other stuff that's in there that I don't need. Remember, that's SPSS trying to be convenient, and sometimes it's not. Okay, so we took care of the responses about them feeling a certain way as a parent. Now we're going to use that legitimate skip value. So select value, type in 97, and we're going to use this as a value of 0, meaning I am not a parent. I have the absence of being a parent. And click Add for that one. Okay, yay, strong connection. And then the other missing values of 96, I believe, was refused. We're going to make that system missing. It's really easy to leave it as a 0. Don't do that. Remember, a 0 in SPSS does not mean missing data. It just means it's being counted differently, but it's still being counted. If you set something aside as missing data, it gets excluded. It doesn't get included in the variable and doesn't get analyzed. So never ever confuse a value of 0 with a value of missing. They are totally different, but I know how people can think that. And then we'll go ahead and take care of the 98s as well with system missing. I don't know why SPSS is being so silly. There we go. So I have my 98s and 96s. I'm also going to use my catch-all of system or user missing in the old value and change it to system missing as the new value. And again, I'm not sure why SPSS is being so silly right now. Should be okay, because there really shouldn't be any other system missing data, but I'm just going to leave it this for now, for purposes of getting through the lab better. You should be able to add that last grouping. Then click Continue. Now we got to go to our condition, so we're going to condition if. Remember, that old condition is still there that we used from before. It might say biosex 4 equals 2 or biosex 4 equals 1, depending on what variable you made. We do not want a condition on that variable. That is a mistake. We're going to delete it. That's a mistake a lot of students make, is they forget to change the condition. We're not conditioning on that. We're conditioning on the new variables you made. Okay? So we want to use those variables. Whoops. Hit something I didn't want to. So in your variable list, you should be able to go to your lesbian variable, okay, and pop it in there. And we're going to say if lesbian equals 1, meaning yes, I am a lesbian, create a lesbian mom variable. Click Continue. Now we have a condition here at the bottom. We've set up our old and new values, so we can hit change. Whoops, I got to change my name because I've made this variable before. I'm going to call it lesbian mother. Okay, so go ahead and hit change and click OK. Again, you just see the syntax at the bottom that it was created, and you should have a new variable in your variable view, but you can go ahead and go in your variable view, go all the way to the bottom. You'll see your new variable you just made, lesbian mother. We're going to go ahead and set the 1s to lesbian mom, again clicking that value button on the end, and 0s to not lesbian mom. I know it sounds kind of silly, but okay. Now let's run a frequency of our new variable. So we're going to right click and hit descriptives. This is correct. So if you got 61 lesbian moms and 69 not lesbian moms, so they are lesbian but they're not moms, for a total of 130 lesbians, you got it correct. Okay, so that's what you're working toward. Now I'm going to kind of turn you loose on the gay dad variable. You got to use the same logic. So you're going to go back, go through that same process of using the H4KK 15A variable. Okay, you're going to use that one again, except now you're going to change your condition and use your gay dad variable in here. Okay, there are a lot fewer gay dads than there are lesbian moms. Okay? Kind of makes sense if you think about it. But anyway, so I'm going to have you kind of do the gay dad variable on your own so you can kind of use this video to get started, but then this will help you finish the lab on your own, and you can start demonstrating more competency to me that you're starting to get the hang of this. Okay? So I'm going to click cancel. And again, just kind of going back to our worksheet, how many lesbian mothers are there? How many gay fathers are there? The very end of the lab says, now run a bivariate comparison, a crosstab and chi-square test between the new variables, and you can choose your gay variable, lesbians, or you can use the gay father or lesbian mother with some other variable of your choice. So pick one of those four, and then pick some other variable. It can be something on attitude, personality. It can be things that have to do with criminology, like committing crimes, drug use, being a victim. It can have to do with health. You can do any number of topics you want. I really don't care. But you want to be sure to pick a nominal or ordinal variable because running a crosstab and chi-square test requires that. So this is where you want to make sure you go through the lecture that kind of walks you through that statistic so you're familiar with how to do it. All I ask you on number 8 is what are the variables you're using? So did you pick this one or this one? And then what other one did you find and add health? And you can pick whatever one you want. So what are the variables you're using? And then at number 9, describe the results of the analyses. So I gave a lecture that specifically walked you through how to report the statistical and the substantive results of a chi-square test. It's not terribly wordy. It's a very simple test. So it kind of prompts you through some of the things you need to talk about. What did you learn? Report this. I even copied those little significance levels at the bottom for you. So I put SPSS output in the lecture so it can guide your eyes as to where to look at the result. And that one is also going to be kind of up to you. So you can collaborate with your lab partner on this. That's perfectly fine. You can each run the same variable if you want to, run the same test. That doesn't bother me at all. Keep in mind, we've made very kind of small variables. I mean, we don't have a lot of gays and lesbians in this data set, and that's true to random samples. Sometimes it's hard to get minority populations in a data set. So you have to kind of be careful with these other variables you pick because they may not have a high response to that. So you may have to kind of experiment a little bit with what variable could work. Okay, so I wish you luck. Hopefully this has gotten you started. It's shown you a few pitfalls. Again, I'm a big fan of using that file new syntax box where you can type in raw scripts. You actually have a script of a frequency that you can type in. You can run any command in SPSS in here. And truth be told, I actually don't use the menus. I just write code. I write syntax, I write code, because it's kind of like my little record of what I did. And then I actually save my syntax files. You can actually save these, okay? Once you've started creating syntax, you can save it, and then that's kind of a record you can save with your data. So that way, I don't have to save any output. I can just save the commands, and I can always rerun the output. It's really easy. You can also type little notes in here like, this is my gay variable, and then you can actually type in what you did, recode, and so you actually put little notes in here. Just keep in mind that syntax is a little bit sensitive. It likes writing in all caps. Also, be careful with spaces because it treats a space as the beginning of a new variable or command. You always have to end your syntax with a period so it knows that it should execute it. If you like Java and HTML, this is kind of familiar. But anyway, hopefully this lab has given you enough to help you with this. And again, I wish you the best of luck. Contact me with any questions and go after it. Go get it. We'll see you next time.